You should be able to record it now.
We go.
Great. So what I've done is I've made some little notes at the top here, and then afterwards I can share this presentation with you so that you can then have it to use afterwards.
Right.
So the first thing, the button at the top here, can you see my mouse that's wiggling around?
Mm-hmm.
Great. So you might recall this is called the gain, and this is what we use to allow the sound or input to come into either a microphone or an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, can you guys remember that?
Yes, we remember that.
Cool. So yes, the gain needs to be up, and again, up per channel. So this one is associated to number 1, input number 1, this one to number 2. So the next thing is the EQ. So this is what all of these blue ones do.
The EQ, that's the equalizer?
That is the equalizer, yes. So what we have got is the top one, that is the treble.
Now, a moment.
Yes.
We have the word equalizer down below the blue notes. So that equalizer stands for the blue notes or the red notes? Because we thought that it stands for the red notes.
It's the blue ones because—
Oh, it's for the blue ones.
Yes, think about it as the text that you're seeing is everything that is above it.
Okay.
So you should, on the white ones, you should see the word gain that's written effectively below, but it means the ones above. All of these blue ones are the EQ.
Okay.
And this top one is the treble.
Yes.
And so that's, yeah, the treble sound. The bottom one is the bass. And then these two middle ones are the mid ranges, as in it's everything that's not high treble and like the low bottom bass.
Okay.
And so these two, they basically work together. The first one, which is this top blue one, this says, it's the easiest way is to refer to it as like numbers. So this top one says, go and look for frequencies that are, let's say, 10, 20, 30, 40, okay? But then the one below it is, it searches for the smaller numbers. So it fine tunes it. So instead of going 10, 20, 30, 40, it will help you to identify between 10 and 20. So it's almost doing like 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Now, a moment. We have 2. When it goes to the mic lines, yeah, 1 to 8, the middle ones, the blue ones, 1 has frequency.
Yeah.
Then with those stroking 9, stroke 10, they have low MIDI, not frequency.
So low is the low bass, and then the other one should at the top hopefully say high.
Yes, high MIDI.
And then the other one should say mid.
Yes.
And so this one here should say mid, and that's the mid frequencies. And then you might see a little line that's connected between number 2 and number 3. And number 3 fine tunes number 2. It's worth having a little.
Number
So
three that
it's
has
worth,
frequency. You see that word frequency over there?
yes, yeah, it does.
That note.
So basically both of those two, as in numbers 2 and 3, those are the mid tones, and then number 1, the top one, is the treble, and the one at the bottom is the bass, otherwise known as high and low.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all to do with EQ.
That's frequency. Frequency does the same work with low MIDI when it comes to these to these other lines.
Yes. Let me move on to the next ones, if I may.
Okay, okay.
So the next ones, these are called AUX, AUX, and it stands for auxiliary. So you pronounce it AUX.
AUX, yes.
But what that means is if you've got any like monitors on the stage,
monitors,
you could, as in like to listen back to yourself. If you have anything on the stage that helps you hear back to yourself, that's what these red ones do. But if you don't have that, if you don't have any extra speakers on the stage to hear back to yourself, then don't worry about the red ones.
So the red ones purposely work on the monitors.
Correct.
Those could be stage monitors or in-ear monitors, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Now with in-ear monitors, you would need to have a little pack for a person that then they can turn things up and down. But this is how you start to get the inputs into a person's ears or the speaker, sorry, the monitor.
Okay, now I see with the red notes, yeah, like in two groups. We have the two notes, 1 and 2, yes. Then we have the black buttons. And then we have the 2, then black buttons.
Yes, What
is the role of black buttons now? And then down the upper notes, the red ones, have that word pre, P-R-E.
Ah, okay. So we're getting a little bit technical now as to what this means.
Yes.
Okay. So the word pre is what it's trying to say is effectively the word before. So you've got pre and post. So effectively before and after.
Oh, okay.
So pre means that it is before the fader being down the bottom here.
Yeah, pre-fader listening, right?
Exactly. So and then post is after the fader. So the reason for the black button is that pre the fader means if the faders are all at the bottom, then things will still come out of that speaker. So if you go and talk into the speaker, it will still come out. But if you change it to be post, as in the button is either pushed in or out, I can't remember what it is, but it's either in or out. That means that if you go and speak into that microphone, only when the fader comes up will you then hear yourself out of that speaker, and the level will get adjusted based on that fader.
So I need, yeah, as you said, it's a little bit technical here. Now, each group of knobs have those blacks. So I
So
may
it's
say,
saying it's 1 and 2 are connected and 3 and 4 are connected.
so I may say that those black buttons are for on and off for the notes.
They're on and off, but based on the fader.
Okay, if I turn on the PFL, then which is down for a particular line.
We'll come on to that in a second.
Okay.
So PFL is something different.
Oh, so when you're speaking about the fader, I thought that you're speaking about the PFL.
No, I'll come on to that. I'll remind you what that means, because that's when you listen to it on your headphones yourself. Exactly.
That I remember.
Excellent. But yes, that button says the speaker or in-ears on stage is either going to be on or off based on the fader going up and down.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Somehow. Okay. So which means we leave that group of the red ones, particularly for the monitors, and those black buttons work during monitor settings, right?
So the black buttons, if you're going to change it, only change it once and do it the same for everything. But I would leave it alone and I would suggest it just stays where it is. It's either going to work with the fader or work without the fader. I would suggest it should be that you don't need the fader to come up and down for that speaker to go and work.
Okay, because we were having a question like, if I press this button down, what is it now on? Then if it's up, it's off. So we were having questions about that, about the black box.
Yes, how to suggest. I would suggest that it's on all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then changing this, the dial just says how much are you going to add in to that monitor.
Oh.
And then if you want it to be off, then I would mute, which is this button down the bottom here. I would mute the microphone. Therefore, no audio comes out of the main speaker and no audio comes out of the monitors on stage.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
When you speak about monitors, this is coming to our mind because now monitors are connected to the amplifiers, right?
So I'm talking about, so this is different to what I might say is your front of house, as in your main speakers at the front, on the left side of the stage and the right side of the stage. I'm talking about the ones, if I was a musician and I'm on the stage and I'm singing here, ones that are in front of me pointing back at me.
Yes,
that's what I mean by a monitor.
That's what I'm saying, that for us here, monitors go through the amplifiers.
That's fine, yes.
Yes, and now if I'm connecting the amplifiers, for example, we have here group 1 and group 2, like the main, where we connect to the amplifiers. And now, how will then the red ones, red knobs, and even the stereo out buttons connect to manage now the monitor, the other side? Okay.
I've got a picture of the back of the desk. So let's come back to this and we'll just carry on and we'll come back and I'll show you the back of the desk versus the front of the desk.
Okay.
So this is the aux. Then next one down is called pan. And pan is basically stereo, left and right.
We remember that.
So yeah, you want it to be up in the middle at 12 o'clock. If it is all the way to the left, it's coming through your left ear. All the way to the right, it's coming through your right ear. So yes, you want that to be sitting at the top. And then the mute button, which we've just talked about. But what we haven't talked about is the PFL. And that's the one that's actually just above here. And this says, listen in your headphones. So listen to a certain channel in your headphones. That's what that button above does. Then we've got something extra called groups.
Groups?
Which group.
Well, groups, okay.
Which is, because you might ask me, what do these faders do over here? Which I'll just highlight. Exactly. What do these faders do? So what these faders do is they can control, for example, all of the vocals could be in number 1 and 2, and all the instruments could be in 3 and 4. So you might say, how do we get those connected?
Exactly.
On these buttons is where you press. So you might say number 1, 2, 3, and 4. These are all my vocal mics. So what you would do is you'd press down number 1 on here, number 1. So you'd press 1 and 2 on input 1, 1 and 2 on input 2, 1 and 2 on input 3, etc. And then if you want to control all of your instruments, let's say they are 5, 6, 7, and 8, then you would press on number 5, you would press 3 and 4, etc. So all of the instruments would all be in their own group. The only thing to be aware is that, so these ones would control the, let's pretend these are your vocalists and these are your instruments. The black ones, as in these black faders, they won't work until you have these ones pushed up.
Yes.
So it's the group has to come up. Well, really, it's your main. This is your main left and right. The main has to be up first. Then these ones here have to be up next in order for the black ones to go and work. Okay. Right. But what it does mean is that you can make louder or quieter all of the vocals all at the same time. And the same with the instruments. You could say, right, make all the instruments louder or quieter all at the same time.
Get you.
So that's over here. Now, oh, that's another picture of the desk. So now we're looking at the back of the desk. And this was the main thing that I think you guys wanted to ask about was, what do we do about recording? And how could we get things set up? Where are you supposed to plug something into? So on the back of the desk, you have got something called main mix, and you've got this word INS. It stands for insert. Can you see that?
Yes, we see it here on our mixer here.
Great. So what that means is, have you got a, have you like bought a something to record audio on?
Come again?
So in order to record, you would need something to record it onto. Have you got something to record onto?
Like camera
So let me show you.
So insert purpose is for recording, right?
Yes. So let's say, let me just show you. Can you still see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Can you see here? There is
Task
like an
count?
audio. Yes, it's
Yes.
just it's a make of a recorder. But you could use something different. The only thing is it would need to have a cable coming out of it that you can plug that you can plug a cable into, because this one, for example, it's got its own microphones on here. But what you want is to be able to plug a cable in to the sound desk and then to use this as a little recorder.
Right.
I'll see what I can suggest, and I'll get or Dan might be able to make a suggestion for what to go and use. But in order to do recording, you would need at least something to record onto.
So which means the insert is purposely to connect with a device where everything we are doing on music, where it's going to be recorded, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So this is where it would record everything, and it would record it all at the same time, and every level that you do, every little change, it will record it all there.
So
the other thing.
So which means if I have the gadgets and I can use the insert to connect with a video camera to record what we are doing, right?
If you've got the correct cables.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Then yes, that's how you would do it. The other thing, which is more advanced, that I would tell you about, so you know the desk can do it, is you can record individual channels.
Oh.
So if you want to record the individual of input 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then you can, it's called a direct out, and it's this one that you would use, but this is way more complicated because you have to have 8 cables going into a device that can handle all of those. And then what you can do is then remix the audio afterwards. It's how, if people are recording like an album, or they're recording like they're doing things and they want to record each individual item, this is one option that you can do. Is you're taking, instead of it all together, you're taking individual stems, and so that's how you can take it out of the desk.
Get you.
But I would suggest we focus on this one, and this is your main left and right, and this is how you would take it out to record.
Okay.
Just showing you other bits of the desk here. So let me just move my
Could you send me those notes?
yes, absolutely. I'm just highlighting a couple of things that we have talked about. So through your amplifier, on your main mix, this is where you would plug in your main speakers into these ones below here, left and right. So that is those two. And then we also spoke about the monitors on the stage. So they would plug into this aux send.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you would plug your monitors into.
Get you now.
So they would come from the amplifier into the desk. You would plug them in here. And then from the desk, you would be sending audio to those monitors.
Now I get you with the question I had.
And so if I just finish and then you come back with your question, if I go back here,
yes.
So this is where you would say how much level do you want to send to that monitor.
Oh, that's why you have the aux here and the aux here down. Get you now. Yes.
So you would turn it up and say, I want to add more into aux number one. And aux number one might be for the worship leader. And then you might have another monitor that is for the vocalists. So that could be number two. Turn that up for the vocalists. And then your instrument players, guitarists or drummer or piano player, they could have a monitor next to them, number 3 or number 4. Again, turn that up and down, because different people might want to hear different things. As in, the worship leader would want to hear themselves, but they might not want to hear the piano, for example. But then put another monitor next to the piano player, and they might want to hear themselves and the worship leader. So then you could put, so let's say it's in number 2. So then this one could be the worship leader, and then this number 2 could be the piano player. And so if this one here is for the piano player themselves, then you would turn this one up and this one up, and then leave the rest down at the bottom.
Get you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, should I ask a question?
Ask you.
It is making very, very much sense. So which means this, could you smile? Oh, I'm not, which means with the red knobs that you're speaking about, do the same work with the red knobs where there is stereo output A, B, C, D, where we have two knobs, right? When we got the main.
So over here.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just looking at this now.
bwe tuli kwenda recordinga yenka bino recordinga group mwana anti nebuuza.
Okay.
Yes.
So here's the answer to your question. So, for example, these type of inputs, you can take a microphone into it, okay?
Right.
So an XLR is the cable that would go into this bottom one. But you might have, you might want to play some audio through a computer. And the computer might take a different cable type called a jack. And so over here,
A moment.
you can see.
Where can we connect the computer cable?
Let me make another screen. So can you see here it says stereo input A to D?
Yes.
So these two, where it's got A, this says that you can put in, you could input your computer, for example, into stereo A to D. And then you could control it over here on stereo input
Okay.
A. And you could send that to the monitors. I don't think you'd want to do this, but it's just knowing that it exists. The thing that we haven't spoken about, which is stereo, is you can see down here where it says 9/10 and then 11/12. So these are stereo channels, which means that you have to have a left and a right to come in. And on the back of the desk over here, you can see 9 and 10. And so you might plug in. So this is where I would plug in your computer, is on, let's say 9 and 10. And so that is your stereo left and right.
So now if I plug in the computer is for playing music, right?
Playing music back through the main front of house speakers.
Okay, now another question. Now if it is, let me say 9 and 10, because what I see here, they will say it is 16 channels.
Yes.
But stroking sound to come up with 12.
So they're paired together. So 9 and 10 is a left and a right on one fader.
So now, yeah, my question was, can I plug in a keyboard on 9 and plug in an electric guitar on 10? No. So now why do we have 9/10 as a channel, counting it 2 channels in one?
So you've got so you've this again, we'll get a little bit more technical on this. So you've got mono and stereo. So mono is one channel of audio. So let's say a microphone, you could say is mono. It's one microphone coming into one input, and you can move it up and down.
Yeah.
Okay. But there are certain instruments that can work as stereo. For example, a keyboard. If you played a keyboard, by the magic of what's inside of the keyboard, some of it can come out of the left speaker and some of it can come out of the right speaker, but together it comes out as stereo. Okay. And so a keyboard, so out the back of the keyboard, it would have a left and a right. Okay. So then you could take that left and right and put it into 9 and 10 in the desk.
Oh,
The same is true of a computer. A computer could play stereo and you could have a left and a right, and then you could plug that into 11 and 12. And the reason being is you should only plug in one type of input into that fader. So a keyboard, if you move the fader up and down, you're doing one type of audio, as in keyboard up, down. Whereas in your example of electric guitar and piano, if I move the fader up and down, it doesn't know which one it's going to try and control both. And you might have not enough piano and too much guitar, and you can't change the level of them. They're both trying to compete against each other. So that's why it's a bad idea to put them in the 9/10. Does that make sense? Cool. We've got 10 minutes of our time together,
right.
Remaining. Just as a little time check, what other things would you like to talk about?
Now, you see where the buttons are, a group, wow, the groups, the 4 groups.
Yes.
Where your red is?
Yes.
Up, those black buttons.
And
then you talk about the phantom.
Okay, so these black buttons here, I can't see it well enough to know. Send to. Okay, right. So these black buttons make it possible to send it to the mix, which is this main one. Okay, so you might find that if these are up and if these single faders are up and the main one is up, but nothing is coming through, press this button and then it might start working. Okay, so it's again on off.
Okay.
So this one is on off for the one below it. And then this one is on off for the ones below it here. Okay. And the buttons above it, which is here, is called solo. And the solo is the same term as PFL. As in, if you want to hear all the vocals together, press solo and it will come through your headphones. So then you could hear all the vocals together in your headphones. So that's the solo button. And then everything above it, which is all here, I think you should probably ignore this that's over here. I think it would be more complicated than you might be set up for at the moment. Then the next ones, which are over here, so these ones again are for listening in your headphones to the monitors that are on the stage.
Okay.
So again, you can see here it says aux, sends, PFL. So this says, oh, if I push this down in my headphones, I can hear the same thing that is happening on stage with monitor number 1, monitor number 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, monitors number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I can't see what the other 2 are at the bottom. Is that okay?
Yes, okay.
Was there any other questions?
The other question, were given the DBX? DBX, then about the Phantom. The Phantom plus 48V, what is the mean? What is the value of that? The main signal up there.
As in, are we at the top here?
Yes, there is a button with a Phantom plus 48V.
Okay. So that stands for 48 volts, and it's called phantom power. And so again, we're going to get a bit more technical on this. Either some microphones, or are you familiar with the DI box?
Yes, we have DBX.
Hold on. So here is a DI box that you might plug a guitar into. So you might plug a guitar into here.
Yes.
And then it converts it into an XLR. And then you put your XLR into the sound desk. Okay.
Right.
But what you have got is something called active or passive. So can you see over, I won't move my mouse, but can you see over on the right hand side it says phantom or 9-volt battery? Okay. So if you don't have a battery in there, you can get the sound desk to effectively put the power, as in it's like plus 48 volts. You can get it to put the power into that DI box.
Oh.
So that's where the sound desk turns it from being passive, and it becomes active.
So this this desk can become like a power server to that one.
A very little power server to that DI box. The same is true for some microphones. Normally, quite expensive microphones have this ability to then add some power, as in phantom power, in and make the microphone work. So that's another thing that your desk can do. And yes, that's where this button, you could add it in. But note that it is only for, it should be only for 1 to 8, where you've got phantom up here. Okay, because things like a computer over here, this input type, you shouldn't be adding power into a computer, for example. And likewise with a keyboard would be powered already you're not going to add power to that.
Okay.
So we've got a couple of minutes left. Was there like one extra question that you guys wanted to ask?
Yeah, initial. Well, yeah, I think most of the things are covered. Yeah, we
Great.
have now at least some good knowledge to operate this thing here.
Brilliant.
Yes. I just only wanted to know what is the importance of a DBX?
A DB, oh, a DI box.
No. A DBX where it's like a transmitter where you connect to the to the amplifiers to get the speakers from the desk to the DBX, then from the DBX to the amplifiers, then to the speakers. Could you let me share this with you? Yes, it's fine. Let me share here with you. Do you see my screen? You see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, that's I mean that thing over there. You see that? Oh, moment, they are getting me a car. This one, like this thing here. Okay, that.
Oh.
Yes.
That previous loudspeaker management. I think this would be linked with an amp, but
yes.
I don't think you need anything like this.
Okay.
Because this is helping to EQ your speakers. And I mean, unless you've got one, I don't think you need to go and buy something like this.
Yeah, we already have one.
Oh, okay.
So, but I was wondering because by that time it was bought, I was not available. But now I'm wondering why this was bought, because I was using without this and everything was working fine. And
okay, let me go and have a look because I'm not familiar with what you've shared. But I will have a look and come back to you.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, could you put that up on the screen once more? Because I can then take a screenshot of it.
There it is.
Great, thank you.
Get it?
Yes. Cool. What do you want to stop the recording so that you can get it at your end?